Libra, welcome to your reading. So this is going to be your geoscope for the upcoming new moon in Leo, which is happening on the 18th of August this year. So unlike the last two full moons, the Capricorn lunar eclipse and the Aquarius full moon after that, this one should be a very, very positive new moon. Lots of positive aspects happening between the planets and less turbulence when it comes to the cosmic weather, which you probably would have picked up on if you've been following me on social media. So looking good. We've got a great fiery energy, which should mix well with your air energy. So let's see what is going to sort of come up in the cards. Now, I've had a piece of copper sitting on the cards, which is Venusian metal. So hopefully it's going to attract some positive messages for you. I think, everybody could do with a little bit of hope and optimism. So let's see what wants to come through. Just to say thank you for all your likes, shares and subscribes, as well as your good karma donations. I really appreciate all of your support. And also welcome if you are new to the channel. I hope that you will enjoy these readings. I do post twice a month at the new and full moons, and then also at the eclipses. So do check out my website if you want to know more about eclipses, and sign up to my newsletter if you're interested in receiving my in-depth new and full moon forecasts, as well as my eclipse horoscopes. The other thing to say is that I'm busy redesigning the cards that I use with this oracle. This is something I've developed myself as a way to practice geomancy, and I realized that the cards don't read very well on the video camera, so I've redesigned them. So hopefully when we come to the next full moon reading, we should have some clearer cards that you can see without me having to hold them up to the camera. Okay, I think that's shuffled nicely. Let's cut the cards. Right. Wow, okay, so yes, as we move into this new waxing cycle, you're definitely keen for a fresh start, and I don't blame you. It's been a tumultuous month or so with lots of kind of clearing out of difficult energy and blocks. So yes, perfect for a new moon. New moons are really about fresh starts. They start a new 2-week cycle, so do bear in mind that these readings are for the 2 weeks of the waxing moon cycle, not just for the days around the new moon itself. Okay, so when it comes to home, family, roots and ancestry, there's a sense of something passing, and it could be, karmic kind of ancestral karma that you've been clearing during the Lionsgate portal, for example, or it could simply be a sense that the things that in the 3D that we kind of cling onto for security, or don't always necessarily bring us security, that it's a little bit of an illusion. This is Venus in Taurus, so it's Venus, your ruling planet, but in the more earthy kind of expression. And in geomancy, that's all about transience, really. It can also be about what feels unattainable or out of reach. So maybe you're really keen to own your own home, for example, and you kind of feel as though that dream is slipping away from you, given the sort of economic downturn that we've had, and the many redundancies and retrenchments that are happening worldwide. But let's not sort of get into too much of a downer, because we haven't got all the cards out yet. So let's see what else is going to kind of come through. Interesting. So as one door closes, another one opens. So here in your 7th house, we've got Cauda Draconis, which is the end of karmic contracts. It's the end of a cycle, usually to do with soul contracts or soul lessons. And these are about significant one-to-one relationships. So usually romantic partnerships, but not always. Can be financial agreements or collaborations to do with work, or it could just be a significant other, like a bestie, or somebody that you've felt like a bosom buddy that you felt very close to recently. It seems as though whatever lessons needed to be learned, and things are kind of closing out. Now, it could also be that you've had some blocks when it comes to attracting in a permanent relationship if you are single, and that you've been working very hard on clearing that energy, and if so, this energy is starting to leave. Now, it might have something to do with Mars in Aries, which is quite active and prominent and has been over the last couple of weeks. So we're going to dive into that more when we've got all the geomantic conversions out. But the good news is that when it comes to career and kind of future goals, it looks as though you are in for a little bit of help from the universe or from higher ups, because we've got Fortuna Minor here in your 10th house. So, you know, if your career has kind of stalled or things haven't panned out quite the way you'd hoped, don't lose heart, because it looks as though things are going to kind of swing unexpectedly in your favor. You may get some help either from, as I say, those that are in a position to help, VIPs, or those in authority, perhaps somebody well-known or in a position of power decides to help you out, like a mentor, for example. But definitely there's a positive shift happening when it comes to career. So I'm just going to pause quickly while I do your conversions, and then we can get more in detail into your reading. Hi Libra, welcome back. As you can see, your conversions have been done, so let's dive into your reading. Now, as usual, the best place to start is with that Leo new moon. So for you, that happens here in your 11th house, which is the house of friendships, as well as social, kind of social mobility, social networks, and professional associations. So this is where we join with others to kind of achieve goals that we couldn't on our own, or, you know, particularly with people that we have shared values with. So I think that there's a fresh start for you happening here, and look, it's making you really happy. We've got Latitia, which is Jupiter in the water side of Pisces. So this is about expansive emotions, feeling lighter, happier, more joyful than you have in a long time, as a result of this influx of positive solar energy. So that's really, really positive, and I'm very, very pleased for you. So on the whole, as I say, new moons are about fresh starts. So this begins a 2-week cycle, a new 2-week cycle, where you can plant seeds and set intentions for the upcoming waxing moon cycle of the moon, so the 2 weeks that follow. And generally speaking, my feeling is, as an astrologer, that we're kind of at the halfway point of that solar eclipse cycle that we started at the solstice back in June, the 6-month cycle. So I think that the first half was about clearing things out, and the second half is going to be about really working on building and manifesting those things that we set our intentions to sort of bring into our lives in June. Now, I think one of the things I've noticed about your reading is that there's quite a lot of energy here about soul contracts. We've got Caput Draconis twice, so you are definitely keen for fresh starts, particularly when it comes to yourself and your values, the way that you see yourself, and perhaps your physical appearance. But I think it's just more to do with your attitude and your outlook on life, that you're seeing things from a fresh perspective, and there is definitely this you know, there's a shift in the karmic cycles between you and other people too, because we've got the North Node here and the South Node in your 7th house of relationships, and we've also got it in your 8th house. So I do feel as though relationships for you are shifting big time as a result of these cosmic energies. So I think that, you know, if things haven't been so great when it comes to relationships, family, or romantic, or in terms of friendships, I think things are going to start shifting very, very rapidly now during this 2-week phase. But I think that what's going to be required is letting go of something, letting go of what hasn't worked, essentially. I think you've already been doing that, and I think this is just the tail end of that energy. So I think that Mars in particular has been forcing you into changes that you needed to make internally, getting rid of certain blocks, certain limiting beliefs, particularly with regards to relationships, that I think is going to really pay off. And I think you're going to see that during this 2-week phase. So that's one thing to say. And I think it's going to be highlighted by a trine between Mars and Aries here in your 7th house, and the Sun, Moon, and Mercury, because all three are going to be in Leo in close proximity at this particular new moon. So I really see this as being about swift changes, positive changes, and shifts happening for you when it comes to relationships with others. And this can be in group settings, and it can also be in one-to-one settings. So great news if you're keen, for relationships to improve. In fact, it's also kind of echoed in the outcome of your reading. We've got Via here, which is all about shifts and movement. So I feel like, Via for me in many ways this is road, literally in Latin. It's also the moon in Cancer, and for me this is similar to the Eight of Wands card in the tarot deck, where it's about momentum, travel, forward movement, and sometimes changes in direction. But it's definitely worth it. So as you let go of what hasn't been working, so things shift in a very, very positive direction. We end your reading with Acquisitio, which is really about gain from past efforts and difficulties. But going back to the new moon itself, it's important to say that at this new moon we are going to be having a sextile between your ruler Venus, which is currently in Cancer here in your 10th house, and Uranus and Taurus, which is sitting here in your 8th house. And this is all about positive changes. So I kind of feel that, if things didn't work out for you in terms of your career, if you've recently had disappointments or things haven't quite panned out the way you thought, then I think that things are going to unexpectedly improve now. Venus, for example, in Cancer, will be making a conjunction to Sirius, and Sirius was very, very prominent, A, during the Lionsgate portal, and B, during that solstice solar eclipse that we had back in June. So I think that you're going to see some themes and energies from those two times coming back in a positive way. Some very nurturing energy, and I think it fits with this idea of Fortuna Minor, which is, as I said, about help and protection from those in positions of power. Now, these could be spirit guides, but they could equally be, VIPs, people in authority who are in a position to help you. And given that Uranus is here in your 8th house, which is the house of joint ventures and shared assets or resources, it does look as though you're letting go of perhaps mistrust, of bad experiences in the past that may be related to business partnerships, for example. And this is going to pave the way for new, fresh energy to come in. Look, we've got Fortuna Minor here in your 9th house of beliefs. And so I kind of think that, as you move out of that energy of thinking, everything, people are disappointing, things don't kind of work out, and you shift into this new energy, this happier energy, I think so you're going to see shifts happening here in your career. And in terms of your soul purpose, I feel like you're coming into alignment. That's what I'm feeling quite strongly. And it's interesting, you and Taurus, I think, have got similar themes going on in your reading. So I think it's that Venusian influence here that is very, very strong. And then the other aspect that the luminaries will be making at the new moon is two positive aspects to the lunar nodes. Now, those are currently in Gemini and Sagittarius. So those are sitting in your 9th house and in your 3rd house. So again, reiterating this idea of positive shifts when it comes to your beliefs, having a positive impact on your kind of your karmic lessons, your soul path, your kind of soul purpose. North Node is all about what you're learning here in this life, what you've chosen to work on, soul lessons, new soul lessons coming in. And those aren't always necessarily negative. Sometimes it's also about learning to accept help from others, learning to welcome in abundance and good fortune. And that certainly seems to be what is coming in for you. And, if we think that this is a sextile between the Sun and the Moon in Leo and the North Node, then we are talking about help, and possibly help from friends or help from some kind of professional association or some kind of group. So that's fabulous to hear. It's basically saying the universe has got your back, which is wonderful. And then on the other side, we've got Sagittarius, which is the South Node. And here we've got Puer, which is Mars in Aries. Now, of course, Mars is your counterpart, your divine counterpart energy. So for me, this is it's kind of the opposite energy to your energy. So I think what it's saying is let go of any kind of conflict that you've had in the past with others. differences of opinion, maybe difficult communications with others, as well as an outlook that might be kind of adversarial or competitive. And I think as you move out of this competitive energy and into more cooperative energy, so I think things are going to really shift for you when it comes to your career and the success. And again, I'm going back to this acquisitio, your outcome of your reading, which is really, really it's about gain. It's literally acquisition. It's Jupiter in Sag energy. So very, very expansive, upbeat, optimistic energy. This is really fortune smiling on you, and things coming good, all your efforts paying off in the end. So, I mean, that's great. That's what you want to hear. The only potential downside to the astrology certainly is that Mars is going to be making a conjunction to Black Moon Lilith. So this is about bringing up some of the shadow aspects of relationships for you, sometimes in your partner, and that could be why we've got counter draconis here, because it's kind of saying that there's certain attitudes or behaviors that are either projected onto other people or that other people project onto you that need to be let go of. That's what Black Moon Lilith is all about. It's the kind of the dark side of the moon. So it's about emotional immaturity, and this is within the context of relationships. So it could be about letting go or releasing partnerships or relationships where that has been the common denominator, and really the more that you kind of value yourself and your own worth, I think that the less you're going to resonate with people who not at your level and who are not very mature. And I think that's why we've got counter draconis here. Now, that could also be family members. But generally speaking, though, things are kind of on the up. We need to focus strongly on this new start, these new beginnings that are coming in for you. But overall, positive reading. Look, we've got Via, which, as I say, I think is about shifts or changes in direction, movement, and definitely with that Mercury-Mars trine, there will be a lot more momentum than there has been in the last 2 months in terms of the astrology. So events happening quickly, the pace picking up in terms of events unfolding, which is great. And then, as I say, there is the sense of things shifting. So it could just be change. Literally change kind of happening and allowing that to happen. Maybe it's also kind of saying maybe you need to think about relocating, so letting go of wherever it is that you currently feel rooted and allowing new energy to come in, and I think with that is going to come this really positive abundance and gain. I'm just going to quickly read you the main keywords for acquisitio, just to sort of get your juices flowing. So this is about material success. It's about profit, riches, gain, attainable goals, expansion, and absorption. So it's literally a mouth or a pouch that's held open, ready to take something in. So positive. It's kind of the culmination of, as I say, hard work, either on a kind of emotional and energetic level, or as a result of actual hard work. When it comes to the to your career and that kind of thing. And of course, the other thing to say here is that if money has been a little bit tight recently, Capricorn does suggest a new start when it comes to earned income. So that's really positive. So yeah, overall good reading again, Libra. If it's resonated, do let me know in the comments. How it's kind of panned out for you, how it's resonated, and if you've liked this reading, please hit the like button. Thank you so much for all your likes, shares, and subscribes. And do check out my social media and website, where I do post regularly, and where you can subscribe to my my in-depth forecasts and newsletter that I send out twice a month. So yes, all the best, lots of love to you, Libra, and see you again in a fortnight.